falling down a giant hill for some cheese, balloons filled with North Korea's trash, and hey, can someone tell that kitten to stop holding up traffic? Hey, I'm Greg Ott, and we've got all these weird news stories coming your way right now on your daily news refresh. Before we chow down, give us a like and a hot subscribe to get more interesting and unusual news stories in your feed each and every day. Thanks. And with that, on your mark, get set, throw yourself down a hill to get your hands on a wheel of cheese. That's what these people are doing here on Monday in this annual cheese rolling competition in Great Britain. It goes like this. On a spring bank holiday at the top of Cooper's Hill near Gloucester, England, a 7-pound wheel of double Gloucester cheese rolls down this nearly vertical 200-yard hill, followed by scores of people trying to finish first behind the cheese at the bottom. The prize? The cheese itself, of course. And as noted by this archived webpage by Gloucester City Council, a message from a town crier dates this cheese race back to 1826. Though it's believed this tradition is at least 600 years old, perhaps stemming from claims to grazing rights or some sort of fertility ritual. An unusual occasion, not unlike that Hungarian town's Easter tradition of throwing cold buckets of water on women that we told you about last month on your daily news refresh. Please subscribe. Anyway, if chasing after a wheel of what cheese.com describes as a traditional, full-fat, hard cheese with a creamy, mellow, milky, nutty flavor and sweet aroma at speeds that can reach 70 miles per hour kinda seems dangerous, well, yeah. In this archived recollection of 2000's race, 11 people needed to be treated for minor injuries like sprains, tissue damage, and a dislocated shoulder. And in years past, the event's occasionally even been canceled due to not just health and safety concerns regarding people intentionally throwing themselves down a giant hill, but because the sheer amount of public interest in this event has led thousands to pour out from all over the world to try to take their shot at catching up with some food and really challenge the whole concept of the 5-second rule. Indeed, the competition is nevertheless endured, even after a 2-year pandemic break where the cheese was simply rolled down the hill to maintain tradition. And the winner of one of the 4 races this year was this German guy named Tom, seen here chanting the word cheese. Cheese! Cheese! And in the women's race, an American named Abby proved to be the big cheese, having secured her 2nd title as Woman Who Won. And she spoke to CNN World Sport about the whole thing.
Well, after my win 2 years ago, I didn't want to just cling on to that victory because it's getting aged, just like the cheese. But I wanted to renew that win and bring the title back to the US. So my strategy is to basically run from the get and then start rolling. And 2 years ago, that strategy worked really well for me. I just tumbled my way down to the bottom. This year, I did a similar strategy. My face took a lot of hits down the hill. So did my body, but that's the cost that it takes to win the cheese rolling.
As an aside, your news refresh recently told you about the Sports Bra. Not the garment, a Portland, Oregon sports bar dedicated 100% to women's sports that's currently franchising in hopes of expanding across the USA. And while basketball might not be your thing, this seems like the kind of place where one could enjoy a frosty pint of beer while observing a bunch of daredevil women fall down a giant hill in the name of cheese. Balloons are in the news again. No, we haven't shot down another inflatable Chinese spy craft. And no, another boy didn't pretend to float away in some helium-filled flying saucer hoax before throwing up on the Today Show. But balloons like these have just taken to the Friendly Skies over in South Korea. Though Friendly Skies is doing a lot of work there, because these things are literally filled with garbage and you see, more than 200 of these beautiful trash balloons, some of which are being tended to by soldiers here on Wednesday, are believed to be gliding gifts of garbage from South Korea's neighbors in North Korea. Here's video from this week of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un celebrating the 60th anniversary of his Academy of Defense Sciences, after his country failed to launch a satellite on Monday. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff claim the floating sacks of filled garbage are retaliation for activists flying anti-Pyongyang leaflets across the North Korean border. As you can see in these archival photos from recent years, exchanging balloons over the border is kind of a thing over in the Koreas, as defectors and refugees from North Korea routinely deploy balloons filled with DVDs, flash drives, and flyers, condemning Kim Jong-un on the other side. For those who haven't been, Human Rights Watch calls the Democratic People's Republic of Korea one of the most repressive countries in the world. A place that systematically extracts forced unpaid labor from its citizens, sends perceived government opponents to secret prison camps, and systematically denies its citizens all basic liberties like freedom of expression and freedom of religion. The Associated Press reports these balloons haven't caused any damage as of press time, though perhaps one day, should tensions cool between the Koreas and peace become possible, hopefully the only balloons they'll be sending back and forth are messages of love from a hamburger clown. And now a kitten being rescued from the middle of the highway.
I just found a baby kitten in the middle of 441.
This is video from the Alachua, Florida Police Department taken earlier this month. A cop gets out of his car and walks over towards this parked truck on the highway, which is helping stop traffic, and the officer eventually observes, yes, a little tiny black kitten sitting pretty in the middle of the road. You can even see a car zoom by just before he reaches down to scoop up the tiny little street cat. The officer ultimately gets the animal out of harm's way so it can enjoy an old Eminem song on top of a computer, where it belongs. On Facebook, many thank both the officer and that truck driver for saving the kitten. And perhaps more importantly, everyone from Christina Schubert to Steven Spears were pleased to hear Eminem on the radio. The police department claims this little fur ball has since found a forever home with one of their dispatchers. And they say they'll provide an update to this rescue next week. But in case you can't wait that long and you desperately need a forever home of your own, why not subscribe to At the News Refresh on YouTube? We don't provide food, shelter, or medicine, but we do provide new, weird, and interesting news stories each and every day. Meow.